Welcome back to our channel, soap opera lovers. Today is a fantastic day to dive deep into the scandalous world of Genoa City. Grab your favorite beverage and get comfortable, because we have a massive story to unpack today that will leave you absolutely speechless. If you thought Phyllis Summers had finally outsmarted every single person in Genoa City, you are in for the shock of a lifetime. We are looking at a public takedown so spectacular, so utterly devastating, that it will be etched into the history books of our beloved daytime drama forever. The walls are not just closing in on Phyllis Summers, they are completely crushing her, and the architect of her ultimate destruction is none other than the wild, unpredictable, and fiercely scorned Patty Williams. Genoa City is about to witness a catastrophic shift in power, and the fallout will leave the entire town reeling in absolute horror. For weeks, we have watched Phyllis play a dangerously arrogant game. She truly thought she held all the cards by hiding a severely amnesiac Matt Clark, using his fractured mind as her personal bargaining chip against Victor Newman and the rest of her corporate enemies. Phyllis operated under the delusion that she could manipulate a known monster, keep him leashed in a hotel suite at the Genoa City Athletic Club, and pull his strings without any consequences whatsoever. She believed her intellect was unmatched, completely underestimating the explosive collateral damage she was creating in her wake. But Phyllis made one fatal miscalculation in her grand design. She used Patty Williams as a pawn in her twisted game, and as history has proven time and time again, you never cross Patty Williams and expect to walk away unscathed. Patty Williams has always been a tragic, chaotic figure in Genoa City, but beneath that fragile exterior lies a mind capable of meticulous, terrifying vengeance. Patty felt profoundly used and disrespected by Phyllis in the entire Matt Clark debacle. Phyllis treated Patty as a disposable asset, a crazy woman who could be easily discarded once her usefulness expired. But Patty's resentment did not just fade away, it simmered into a boiling, uncontrollable rage. She realized that Phyllis was not just playing the Newman family, she was playing her. And Patty, fueled by a deeply personal sense of betrayal and a twisted, lingering affection for Matt, decided it was time to rip the mask off Phyllis Summers once and for all. Driven by this burning desire for retaliation, Patty began her covert operation. She did not just want to expose Phyllis's corporate crimes or her attempts to skirt the law, she wanted to destroy her on a fundamental, human level. Patty managed to bypass Phyllis's security measures and approach Matt Clark directly. Matt, still struggling with the terrifying void of his amnesia, was vulnerable, confused, and desperate for answers. Patty, using her gentle, almost childlike manipulation tactics, sat with Matt and began to carefully guide him through the foggy maze of his recent memories. She was patient, coaxing out the terrifying fragments that Phyllis had desperately tried to suppress and bury. Patty knew exactly which psychological buttons to push. She helped Matt remember the glaring inconsistencies in his own mind, the moments where Phyllis had deliberately altered his testimony and gaslight him into believing a fabricated version of reality. But the psychological manipulation was only the tip of the iceberg. As Patty gently prodded Matt's fractured psyche, a horrific, deeply buried truth began to surface. It was a secret so vile, so incredibly dark, that it completely recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about Phyllis's involvement with this dangerous man. The bombshell revelation is that Phyllis did not merely hold Matt hostage in that hotel room. She actively caused, and then meticulously covered up a severe physical injury that Matt sustained. We are talking about a brutal, life-threatening trauma. Phyllis, in her desperate bid to maintain absolute control over her captive, either inflicted this injury directly during a struggle or allowed it to happen through gross, criminal negligence. And then she buried the evidence. She denied him proper medical care, hid the bloody truth, and manipulated the narrative to keep him compliant, weak, and terrified. This elevates Phyllis from a desperate corporate schemer to a violent, calculating criminal, crossing a moral line that even her most ardent defenders will find absolutely impossible to justify. Patty, realizing the sheer magnitude of this explosive secret, did not just run to the police with an empty accusation. No, Patty transformed into a relentless, brilliant investigator. She spent days meticulously gathering concrete, undeniable proof to back up Matt's returning memories. She tracked down the hidden medical supplies Phyllis used, uncovered the concealed bloody clothing, and secured undeniable documentation of the cover-up. Patty compiled a damning, airtight dossier of evidence, ensuring that when she finally dropped this bomb, there would be absolutely no escape route. No clever legal loophole for Phyllis Summers to exploit. She waited for the perfect moment, the moment where the fallout would be the most spectacular, public, and humiliating. The stage was set at a lavish, highly publicized event in Genoa City. Imagine the scene clearly. The elite of the town were gathered, the champagne was flowing freely, and the press cameras were flashing everywhere. Phyllis was holding court, likely wearing one of her signature stunning dresses, projecting an aura of untouchable power and supreme confidence. The Newmans, the Abbotts, and the city's most prominent figures were all in attendance, mingling and whispering about the latest corporate gossip. The atmosphere was thick with the usual simmering tensions, but nobody in that glittering ballroom could have possibly anticipated the absolute hurricane of truth that was about to hit them. Suddenly, the music stops, the crowd parts, and Patty Williams steps right into the center of the room. The entire venue falls dead silent. Patty, with a chilling calmness that is far more terrifying than her usual erratic behavior, locks eyes with Phyllis across the floor. In front of the entire stunned audience, Patty begins to speak, her voice echoing off the walls. She doesn't just accuse Phyllis, she performs a surgical, merciless dismantling of Phyllis's entire life and reputation. Patty loudly and clearly details the exact nature of Matt's severe injury, how Phyllis callously caused it, and the sickening, desperate lengths she went to in order to cover it up. She pulls out the physical evidence, the documents, the undeniable proof, and presents it for the entire world to see. But Patty does not stop there. The ultimate nail in the coffin comes when Matt Clark himself steps out from the shadows and stands beside her. The crowd gasps in collective horror, seeing the man who has terrorized so many of them in the past. But Matt is not there as the aggressor tonight. He is there as the broken victim. With his memory now restored regarding this specific trauma, Matt publicly confesses to the abuse he suffered at Phyllis's hands. He corroborates every single word Patty says, detailing the agony of his hidden injuries and the psychological torture Phyllis inflicted upon him to keep him silent. The sight of the notorious Matt Clark, shaking and testifying against Phyllis Summers, sends shockwaves of absolute disbelief through the room. Honestly, looking at Phyllis in this moment, it is hard to feel anything but a profound sense of tragic inevitability. My personal commentary on Phyllis is that she has spent her entire life walking on a razor's edge, believing that her superior intelligence and sheer willpower could get her out of any consequence. But this time, she flew far too close to the sun. Her arrogance completely blinded her to the fact that you cannot treat human beings like disposable game pieces. Causing a severe injury and covering it up is not a clever corporate maneuver. It is a profound moral failing and a heinous crime. Phyllis's desperation to beat Victor Newman turned her into the very kind of monster she claimed to be fighting against. Her downfall is entirely of her own making, a spectacular collapse of a woman who simply did not know when to stop digging her own grave. As for Patty Williams, you truly have to hand it to her. She is so often dismissed as the crazy woman of Genoa City, the unstable wild card that nobody takes seriously. But in this storyline, she has become the ultimate avenging angel. Her ability to outsmart Phyllis, gather airtight evidence, and orchestrate this flawless public execution is nothing short of brilliant. It is a fascinating evolution of her character, proving that her trauma has sharpened her mind in terrifying ways. And Matt Clark. It is incredibly bizarre to feel even a shred of sympathy for a man with his horrific history of violence and manipulation. But seeing him physically abused and silenced by Phyllis adds a wildly complex layer to his narrative. He is a monster, yes, but in this specific chapter, he became the prey, highlighting just how dark Phyllis's soul has truly become. The immediate aftermath of this public confrontation is pure, unadulterated chaos. The police, acting swiftly on the undeniable evidence presented by Patty and the public confession of Matt, waste no time. They descend upon the event, pushing through the crowd of stunned elites. Right there, in front of the flashing cameras and the horrified stares of her peers, Phyllis Summers is placed in handcuffs. The charges are no longer just about corporate espionage or artificial intelligence fraud. They are aggressively expanding into severe assault, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. The metallic click of the handcuffs echoes through the room, signaling the absolute and total destruction of Phyllis's reputation. She is dragged out of the venue, facing the very real, inescapable prospect of a heavy, long-term prison sentence, while the community looks on with a mixture of disgust and grim satisfaction. So, what happens next in this explosive saga? I predict that Phyllis's arrest will create a massive, dangerous power vacuum in Genoa City. Without her maneuvering, Victor Newman will likely swoop in to reclaim his empire with zero resistance, cementing his absolute dominance over the corporate landscape. However, Phyllis is a cornered animal, and I believe she will try to drag anyone she can down with her from behind bars. We might see her attempt to implicate Michael Baldwin or even her own son Daniel in her frantic bid for survival, tearing her own family apart in the process. As for Patty, I predict she will use this massive victory to further her obsession with Jack Abbott, believing she has proven her worth as a brilliant protector and demanding his affection in return. The landscape of Genoa City has been permanently altered tonight, and the legal and emotional fallout from this epic confrontation will completely dominate the drama for months to come. What do you think about Patty Williams taking down the great Phyllis Summers, and do you believe Phyllis deserves to spend the rest of her life behind bars for what she did to Matt Clark? Drop your thoughts, theories, and reactions in the comments section below right now. And make sure to share this article with your fellow soap opera fans so we can all discuss this jaw-dropping twist together.